All right, welcome to another edition of the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
I am James, and it's going to be old school today. It's just the two of us.
Yep.
So those of y'all who really like Joseph are really sorry, but it's just going to be David and myself today. Hope we don't disappoint. Look us up on, we got a YouTube channel now. I've been posting stuff each week, Star Wars Stuff Podcast on YouTube, and we're going to start uploading our videos now each week of us talking, and also this week I talked about R2-D2, about what R2-D2 might be doing in episode 9, just a theory I had. But yeah, each week I'll try to upload new stuff, whatever is coming up here. So just be sure to look us up there. And so something kind of big happened this week in the world of Star Wars. I mean, do you want to announce it? I mean, you want to tell people what?
Yeah,
what
they
happened?
Just dropped the Resistance trailer Friday, right?
No fanfare. Stay tuned tomorrow. We're having, the Resistance trailer going to be showing. They just released it. And how did you feel about it?
I saw Joseph text us.
Yeah.
And I immediately went to Facebook because I'd figured it'd be on my timeline. Mm-hmm. And I played it, and the first thing that struck me was the animation style.
Yeah.
We all knew it was going to be anime-esque. Yeah. So that's the first thing that caught my eye. And then the movement, and watching the trailer, there wasn't a whole lot of action.
No.
But we did get to see some ships. We got to see the base.
Yeah.
I think it's called the Colossus.
Mm-hmm.
And
which looks pretty cool, honestly. That thing looks visually pretty awesome. Something we haven't seen before in Star Wars. And I don't know. I thought it looked pretty cool.
Kind of reminded me of like an oil rig.
Yeah, that's what it is. Just out there in the middle of the ocean, and all the action. I'm pretty sure just the first episode's going to be there. They're just showing us that. But anyway, sorry.
And then, of course, we got to see Kaz's ship. And it looks like he has like a female counterpart, someone that's like kind of his friendly rival. Mm-hmm. And they show them flying tandemly. And then you see rings that they fly through as well. I guess that was the whole kind of part of some race that they were doing.
It looked like either a race or an obstacle course to me. Like they have to fly through. I'm wondering if the rings are the same dimensions as the interior of the Death Star. And they have to test to see which pilots can fly through that as quickly as Wedge and Lando did, to test their skills. I don't know. They didn't look that big. I was just wondering if that's like what they were kind of going for with that. But,
yeah, it seemed like it was like a tight fit.
Mm-hmm.
So what was going on there? I don't know. It was kind of cut pieces, but it was, like I told you, it wasn't really that fast or intense.
Yeah,
and that's what I thought we were gonna get. I thought we were gonna get like really close-up shots of like the races and explosions, but we really got kind of just not super juicy cut trailer.
I didn't get chills and scream and yell like I did with the Clone Wars trailer.
Yeah.
And then plus they didn't even really use any of like the Star Wars music,
Right. I don't even remember the music.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like they were like, "Hey, this is the Star Wars music and this is what here it is." It's all Star Wars. The music was playing, and I was like, I don't feel it. I don't feel this cool Star Wars vibe with this show. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I mean, hopefully, the show comes on, and we're all gonna be like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. But as of now, it just feels like,
Yeah, and the animation style, it struck me as something from Flash, from like the band The Gorillaz.
Yeah.
But everyone online, I think, is talking about how it looks like Zelda Wind Waker type style.
Yeah, it wasn't the anime style I thought it was going to be. Yeah. It looks like just normal animation with an anime-esque style. Okay. Yeah, it didn't feel as the anime style wasn't what I was expecting. And I've seen, I think somebody a couple of years ago put together that TIE Fighter fight, like a TIE Fighter getting ready.
Yeah, that's hardcore Japanese anime, and it looks really good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess we were all kind of expecting that type of style, and instead we got this type of style, which, like I said, it's probably going to be great. It's probably going to be an awesome story, but as of now, it just felt like, I was like, I don't know. But I will say that hearing like Poe, hearing Oscar Isaac as Poe, I was like, okay, there you go. And then you got BB-8 rolling around,
right.
And just trying to figure out like, what is this going to be a hit, or is this just going to come out that Star Wars fans are going to be like, this kind of sucks, or I don't know. What do you?
Right? Is it going to be darker, or is it going to be a lighter tone? The animation style suggests it's going to be lighter.
Yes, very.
But
very light.
when it premieres, it's going to premiere at 10 o'clock at night. on the Disney Channel. So it's like
who they,
on a school night, right?
Yeah, who are they? Who did they make this for? Like they made it.
Yeah,
they made it for us. I mean, they made it for the adults, if you may.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see, but it looked pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I mean that it's nice that they're moving away from what they did on the Rebels show, and it's not what they did on Clone Wars. So it seems like they are kind of venturing out.
Which I like. Yeah. I like that they did that. They figured out they need to switch it up and like, all right, this is a good way to do it. Yeah, we'll wait and see. And as soon as that first episode drops, we're gonna watch it and probably have a podcast immediately afterwards that we can talk about it.
Probably.
But something cool happened the other day. Colin, our producer, got to meet Ray Park, and he posted a picture on his Instagram page of Ray Park, and I was like, that's amazing. And Ray Park still got it, man. Like, he posts videos of him, like, working out and stuff.
Oh, man, on Instagram, he's always posting himself working out. And then at the very end, he always shows himself with the red lightsaber. It's awesome. Swinging it around. I mean, yeah, he's still got it, yeah.
He's still awesome. He's still, in case, I don't know, y'all should know who Ray Park is. Ray Park is Darth Maul. Like, he played Darth Maul. He didn't use his voice, because if you ever hear his voice, it's not what you would expect.
Yeah, yeah, he's an Englishman.
He's a very
Have you ever heard David Beckham speak? He sounds like David Beckham.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. Hey, so I posted that video on YouTube about R2D2 in episode 9. How did you watch it?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you feel? What are your thoughts on R2D2 going into episode 9? Do you feel how I kind of felt, or are you kind of like it doesn't really matter?
I never thought of that exactly.
That's not
if JJ and Chris Terrio could find some type of story point to pull out of that situation, that'd be awesome. That'd be great, because it would almost be like it was pre-planned.
Yes.
But if they can somehow figure out, and I don't know if whoever's listening understands what we're talking about. You brought up, well, R2 knew all along that Anakin was Luke's dad, and knew of the Jedi Order when they were kind of in their opulence. But why didn't R2 ever say anything and help out the rebellion more with his information? And you're saying, well, maybe in episode 9 they reveal why he didn't, why he withheld information, which I think that's a pretty cool idea.
And it's an idea I've always had, because there's that meme where it's like, knows who Luke's father is, doesn't say a word. You know, like they just keep showing R2D2, and I started thinking, I was like, yeah, that's very true. Like, he did know everything. Why is he written as like, I don't know what's going on. This is exciting. This is pretty cool. Like,
right. And the general public thinks that he got his memory wiped, but no, that was 3PO.
That was 3PO got his memory wiped. And so R2 knows everything. R2 could be like the key to everything. And then we always go back to, if they tie everything together, which they need to do in episode 9. Episode 9 just needs to be the most epic film of all time, which it probably will be. They need to figure out a way to tie it all together. And who is in each and every movie besides, you got C-3PO and R2-D2. And C-3PO is not reliable anymore because of his memory wipe from the prequel. So everything that happened in the prequels as 3PO is no longer valuable. But R2 has all that knowledge still with him throughout the years. So it's like, man, he could seriously just out of nowhere just be like, all right, by the way, boom, this is what's really happening. This is what I have seen the whole time. It has to be.
The thing that just popped in my head is, well, 3PO has the data. And if he works like a hard drive, when you it's still all there. It's just kind of scrambled.
Okay.
So maybe if someone descrambled, I don't know. That's kind of going off on a tangent, but I mean, it's possible, but I mean, it's all there with R2. It's just no one understands him except for 3PO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how cool would it be if he just shows a little holograph and you see all the events from episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and Rey he shows him to Rey, because that's obviously the person he was shown to is Rey. So Rey can understand what her place is in all of this. And R2 could be the one to say, it all started on Naboo. It all started here. Your journey began before you were even born because of Naboo. And then we can go from there.
And that kind of fits into what I was kind of thinking or wanting, kind of both. What they'll do in episode 9 if he shows a hologram, a simple hologram of scenes from the prequel, sequel, original
all from his point of view.
His point of view, like you can work it in like that.
Like you have, you can even have his POV of the ship flying, of Anakin flying in the on the Naboo starfighter. Yeah. You can have his point of view of the Clone War, like the beginning of the Clone Wars, him with Anakin and Padme when he saw them falling in love. You know, like all this stuff. Like they could really just take advantage of that, and it would be amazing. And then R2 would have his moment again, and R2 would be the hero, like pretty much, and he'd be the one to tell Rey that all that's been happening. Man, I hope they do it. Now I pumped myself up with that theory that if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be a little disappointed, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I may have something that could possibly be in the movie, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, little stuff like that, like L3 being a part of the Falcon. I love stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that they work in there, and it was there the whole time. You just didn't know because it just didn't come up, you know?
And what would be really cool to see is Rey, like, struggling with her training, and then R2 is like, oh, yeah, check this out. And he shows her Luke and Yoda and the conversations they had, and she's just like, oh, my goodness, like, Luke was very... rebellious. He was a jerk to Yoda. Like why, blah 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 blah. And then I don't know. Like you said, different parts of the movies, all from a different point of view, and it'll be from R2's what he was seeing. You know, so I don't know.
They have that luxury. They can pull that, and that would make a lot of fans happy, I think.
Oh yeah, tons of fans.
And JJ had a lot of nostalgia factor in Episode 7.
Yes,
and he could really bring it back in 9.
But is that a good thing though for the franchise?
Good thing for me. I love that stuff.
I love
I love when they get callbacks, but the like in your face, on the nose stuff like Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan on Jeddah. That was a little bit too much.
No, I'm over here thinking about Finn
pulling out the ball.
Finn pulling up the ball. He's like, that's the ball, everybody. You see that? You remember that?
If it was like a quick, like he threw it out and we barely got a glimpse of it, that would work.
That would have been amazing.
Showing the audience, and then that was a little too.
Or if he like kicked it, like if he like stood up and walked and he kicks it and you just see it on the floor rolling, that would have been like, oh, that was the oh my god. But no, he had to pick it up and show everybody.
Yeah.
Those are a little bit too much in your face. I'm glad Solo didn't do that. Solo kept all that in the background, subtle. Somebody threw a line out that you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Whereas Abrams was like, hey, check this out. Gareth Edwards is like, hey, check this out. This is pretty cool. I guess that's why and Johnson did the same thing pretty much, where he just kind of threw stuff out where it wasn't in your face type of thing. It was just kind of like, oh, that was pretty cool. Nah.
Yeah, I always love the nods, but of course the in-your-face stuff, it's like...
So Abrams should not do in-your-face stuff for this movie. Abrams should just kind of do what Ron Howard did and kind of do what Johnson did and just have your story play out, and those who are really passionate will catch it, and they'll be able to talk about it for months and months. I remember because you saw stuff in Solo that I missed, and you saw it, I think, twice, right? 3 times?
I think I saw it 3 times.
3 times. Yeah. And if you don't know, David has a solo, he's by himself. He has a solo podcast where he talked about the Easter eggs. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that he was saying, I was like, I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Easter eggs. The more Easter eggs, the better.
And I feel like in 9, you need to have the Easter eggs, but they need to have a purpose in 9. You can't just be like, here's the Easter egg. Because in this episode 9 is going to be the journey of Rey becoming the Jedi Master that we need her to be, the one who brings balance. So everything that happened before, everything from 1 to 8 is leading up to this moment. So I feel like the Easter eggs have to be in there for the audience to be able to call back on and be like, oh yeah, this happened. Oh my gosh, like that was a significant, I didn't catch that moment. And that needs to happen. That needs to happen in 9.
Did you notice the Easter egg in the Resistance trailer?
No. What was the Easter egg in the Resistance trailer?
I mean,
if you're making this
might
up,
be. No, I'm not making it up.
Making this up. Sorry,
but I think right around the 37 mark, you see a Mandalorian logo on one of the backgrounds, and it's just like really quick, blink you miss it, but Mandos might figure prominent.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe not prominent, but I mean they're around.
What's really crazy about Mandalore is, it seems like everything is kind of dealing with Mandalore now. Like the next season of Clone Wars is going to be the Siege of Mandalore. Favreau is rumored to take place on Mandalore. Rebels really drove, and then even Clone Wars, the first couple of seasons, and Rebels really drive home Mandalore. And it's like, why so much love for Mandalore now? All of a sudden,
well, it all stems from Boba Fett and his armor. We knew his armor was Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And then when they talk of the Clone Wars, I think a lot of people said, "Well, that's a bunch of Mandalorians fighting. That's the Clone Wars." And I think that's what a lot of people were expecting. I don't think most people didn't expect that there were the original stormtroopers.
Yeah,
I don't know, did you expect that? I didn't.
What, in the Clone Wars?
Yeah, I thought it was something totally off.
I thought the Clone Wars was something. Okay, let's go on a tangent. When you first heard of the Clone Wars and A New Hope, what was your mind of the Clone Wars?
The thing that I envisioned was Mandalorians with jetpacks flying through like cities and invasions and stuff like that, not stormtroopers.
Not pre-stormtroopers.
Right. And it was a whole lot more violent and just more epic. But
hey,
that's what I thought.
I remember Joe Bags during our commentary, he asked, like, what was the Clone Wars? Did they know what the Clone Wars was supposed to be in A New Hope whenever George Lucas wrote Star Wars? Like, did he know what the Clone Wars was supposed to be? And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking yes, but then also I'm thinking no, because what he needed to establish that history of this lived-in world. And at that point, when the 70s, World War II was like back, this moment in our history that we all look back on. And so if you think about it, in A New Hope, the Clone Wars is their World War II, this event that happened where it was this crazy thing that we hear about, we study about. So I think that's what he was trying to go for with the history and the well-lived-in world.
Well, let me ask you this. When you try and create stories, do you come up with kind of a basic outline with certain stuff you want to happen? You don't know the fine details, but you kind of know
you have like
what you want to hit. You have specific plot points, landmarks, big sequences, and then you just have to fill it out.
Yeah.
I think he thought he had the general outline for what the Clone Wars were and how it kind of worked into the story.
Oh, okay, so you're saying.
And then later on, with Filoni, he figured out, he had Filoni come up with stories. He said yay or nay, and he guided him. He said, no, you're not doing it right. This is how to do it.
So you're saying that Lucas had the Clone Wars, an idea of what the Clone Wars was.
He had a rough idea, yeah. He just didn't tell anyone because he didn't have to.
And then again, he didn't think it was even going to work. Right. Like, he thought, remember he said, like...
Well, the original film, he thought it was going to be a failure.
You go in there thinking it's not going to work, but then he also was smart enough to hold on to the contracts to where he could do more of them afterward. He wanted to protect his other two movies. Right. And then boom. So the Mandalore thing, I was just like, man, that's everything now is going toward Mandalore, which is cool. But I was just wondering, like, why, like all of a sudden they just felt like everything's now going to be toward Mandalore.
So when Lucas kept the rights to the sequels and kept the rights to the merchandising, do you think that was his strategy, or do you think he just got lucky?
Being a Lucas fan, would like to think that was a strategy, but being how young he was and how new he was to kind of everything, it feels like he got very, very lucky with that.
I think he was just very artsy, and he just wanted to be able to make what he wanted to make, not really caring about money as much, because at that point he had no children. He wasn't expecting. He just gotten married to someone in the industry. So I don't think he was really thinking. He was just kind of thinking more, not on the business side whatsoever. He just wanted to make the art and just have his thing. And you see now with like the special editions, even the government wants the original negative of Star Wars, and he's not giving it to them. He's giving them the 97 special editions.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So he owns all of that.
Yeah.
100% owns it all.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think Disney's ever going to release the originals. I don't think that's going to happen.
So let me ask you this question. Everybody, how do you feel that the special edition, 97 special edition, and even the 2005 edition, how do you feel about Lucas saying those are the versions you need to watch? Do you feel like he's being selfish, or do you feel like it's a money scheme? I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't want anybody to see the original films. is it because he looks at them and he thinks, there was so much more I could have done? You know what I mean? Like, to where when he watches the original films, those aren't the real movies for him.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about that? His view of those original films?
Yeah, you have to look at it in his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, he's very staunch in his opinion that. Mm-hmm. When I made the films, I didn't get to make the film that I wanted.
Yeah.
So in 97, he got to do what he wanted. He added this, added that, removed this, removed that. And he released them. And he, I guess, was happy with that.
Yeah.
And that's what he wanted. And Lucas, I mean, he doesn't live in the same world we do. I mean,
very true.
Who knows how many people kiss his butt, you know? It's like, I mean, he might have like you look back at the prequels, no one argued with him for anything.
Nobody argued with him.
And that's the big argument, that no one was like, hey, I think you're not doing this right here. And we got to see Rick McCallum say yes to everything, it seemed like.
Yeah, Rick McCallum.
And he was all on board. He was like, whatever Lucas does is going to be golden. And even Lucas was critiquing himself when they were watching the pod racing.
Yeah.
He said something like, I may have gone a little too far here and there.
Yeah. I think about that moment when the prequels came out, that era, that euphoria that everyone had when the prequels came out, and how the hope pop culture had for these movies. And you got to think about it, is George Lucas wrote it, he directed it, he produced it, and he released it how he wanted it to be. And it was so sad, the reaction that came of it. You know what I mean? Like, what imagine, I can't imagine that happening to me. You know what I mean? Like, that feeling of like, what? Like, I thought I wanted to make these, and I hate to say it, it's his story. Yeah, it's not our story. Mm-hmm. So Star Wars is, we're big fans of it. Yeah, we love Star Wars, but if you think about it, their prequels and the original movies, that's his story.
But James, on the flip side of that, I hear so many people say this. When a filmmaker makes a piece of film, or even just an artist in general, when they make a piece of art and they put it out there in the public and it's consumed by the masses, is it only yours or is it everyone's now? Because it's out there. Like the Mona Lisa, if you got Leonardo da Vinci to come back and he wanted to go, I want to change the Mona Lisa, her smile isn't quite right. I mean, what is that, you know? Well,
for me, it's if Leonardo da Vinci wanted to change it, he had a good reason to change it. He had a good reason to want to, because of the genius that Da Vinci was and how smart he was, maybe he didn't get it right. Maybe he's like, I can actually go back and correct it because it's my painting.
Right, but it's accepted worldwide as one of the greatest pieces of art ever.
That's when you...
Just like the original Star Wars. Yeah. No one had an issue. No one said, Yoda looks too much like a puppet, or
the battle at Yavin looks really fake.
Right. No one had an issue with it. He had the power to do what he did, and he did it. But a lot of fans want the original stuff, and I think I'm one of them. You know,
I'm one of them as well, because I did see. I'm not that young. I mean, old. I don't know. Anyways, I'm old. I'm old enough to. I did see the original movies. I was able to witness these things in their entirety in the originals, and I love them. But then I also, like I said, I understood why he did what he did. Mm-hmm. I understand why he went back and was like, okay, now I get to tell this. Now I get to really do what I wanted to do, and you're right. Once you release it, it's the audience. It's yours now. I made this for it to be seen, so it's yours. But at the same time, it's like, but it's still his, though. In the back of my mind, it's still his story to do what he wants to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, legally, contractually, he can do whatever he wants because he owns it. So, and then he sold it. So,
but it's just that feeling that even he said, I will never release the original ones ever. Even Kathleen Kennedy said, we're never going to release those movies ever. You're always going to be having the special edition versions of it. And it's like, man, like he looks at those as his true stories, as his true movies that he wanted to do. And you can go back, especially I think with Empire, you could really see what they really wanted to do that they couldn't do, especially with Cloud City, with the approach, the Falcon it was flying, with the Falcon flying into Cloud City. And I watched the original one, and I remember they fly up to it, and then it just lands. Right. And you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool. And you don't really get to see much of what's going on here. And so George Lucas was able to go back and say, okay, this is what I wanted everybody to see. I wanted them to see this cool thing. I wanted them to see this. And he probably told them, hey, I want these elevators in the background going up and down. I want to be able to see ships out there. And Ireland was like, we can't do that at all. So he had to build the sets to where he had to just cover everything and you couldn't see outside. And then with the special edition, he was able to take those away and add those backgrounds that he always wanted. And I get it. I get why he did that. I remember James Cameron said the reason he doesn't want to go back and redo the visual effects for Titanic is, he says, because once you start, you can't stop. It becomes like this. What?
He did redo
the stars. Yes, I know. which scientist got pissed off at him? What was it?
Well, I don't think he got pissed off. Well, yeah, I guess a little bit. I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, he was like, they showed it to him, and he said, well, the stars in the sky would not have looked like that considering the time of the year it was,
right?
Where they were in the ocean and all this other stuff. And then so James,
because they went deep into the schematics of the Titanic and got every little crack and piece and everything identical to the original Titanic, but they just didn't do the sky.
Yeah, he just put a generic sky up there. Yeah. And then so what did he do? Back in 2012, he goes in there, he goes, all right, here, boom.
Yeah.
That's the sky. I remember I saw that in theaters, IMAX 3D, when they re-released. I started laughing. I know it's not a part to laugh at, but I started laughing because I was like...
Did it look noticeably different?
It's noticeably different.
Really?
Yeah. Well, then again, okay, we're getting into Titanic talk here. I've seen Titanic.
Welcome to the Titanic.
Welcome to the Titanic podcast. No, I've seen Titanic many times. I was obsessed with that movie when I was growing up.
Yeah, I really loved it.
That was a moment in pop culture history.
Right.
Like, that was a moment.
That was when I referenced the other day, I forgot, it was South Texas Cinephiles, that podcast. And I was talking about each cultural touchstone movie. It was Jaws. What would be the next one? Star Wars. Then I'm trying to go. Then after that, I guess it would be E.T.
It'd be E.T.
because that was in the 80s. And then I guess, still Star Wars Empire. But after that, it would be, I would say, Jurassic Park.
Terminator 2.
Yeah, T2. You could throw that in there. And then it would be, I think, Titanic.
Yep.
And
then The Matrix.
Yeah, then The Matrix.
And then Episode 1.
Yeah, Episode 1. Well, Episode 1, that's sketchy now. Because a lot of people don't look back on it very fondly and say, oh, that changed the game. They're expecting it maybe to change the game. But maybe on a business level it changed the game. But culturally, I mean, there was not a lot that came out of that it's a pop culture thing that people remember. Other than Jar Jar Binks, which is not favorable most of the time.
Yeah, fair enough. But I agree. And then Titanic was that moment. Like, Titanic was released at the right time in like ever. You know what I mean?
Right,
like and it almost makes you think, what if George Lucas had released Star Wars Episode 1 in 1997, exactly 20 years after?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what?
That's when they started working on it.
Yeah, that's when he started working on it. That's when he was like, I know I want.
That's when they went into production. Yeah.
And but anyways, I say all that to say, just that high that was going around during that Episode 1 and what they thought was going to happen. I wish they would make a movie about that, about the production of Episode 1 and the thought that people had about this movie, because there hasn't been a movie that has been as highly anticipated as Episode 1, I think, in history, if you really think about it.
Yeah, and it spawned the feature film Fanboys by Kyle Newman, where they kind of chronicle their journey to that movie.
Yeah.
Right up until
the movie started.
Yeah,
and
then
people were like, what?
What if this movie
What if this sucks? I love that. I love that movie. It was like Fanboys, right? Yeah, Fanboys. It was like, what if it sucks? And like when I was a kid, I saw Episode 1. It was the most amazing movie I'd ever seen. Looking back, I was like, it's not that great. But thinking about that movie now, thinking about what George Lucas was doing, and like I've said before, I'm not a big screenwriter. I mean, I write stuff. I have I know how to write stuff. Thinking back to like and how I like try to develop stories with my friend Ryan, and how we're trying to figure out this happens and this happens and this happens. And it's like, okay, George Lucas like made it for a reason, made it for a purpose. And if you read the opening crawl of episode 1, it feels completely different. It's like, this isn't Star Wars. This isn't. And then you got to think about it. Yeah, he was just trying to show us the events of 4, 5, and 6 aren't even thought about yet. This is what led into that. So times are going to be different. The struggles of the Empire and the Rebellion don't exist. It's the Trade Federation and the taxation and all that other stuff is what got things going. Mm-hmm. And people didn't like that. People were like, that's really weird. This doesn't... Okay, and then why is this invasion happening? It's like, because this is what led into it. I don't know. Now looking back at the prequels, it's almost borderline genius, the story that he told to get to the original films, the politics that he needed to show that led to it. It's kind of fantastic. It's kind of amazing what he did with that. That's my opinion. I mean, I probably lost a lot of listeners right there on the podcast. I'm sorry.
Well, the great thing about the original trilogy, it is a mirror to the current society that was going on then. Vietnam just ended, and a lot of people didn't kind of look into it that deep like they do now. And it was a mirror to what was going on. And then with the prequel trilogy, it was also a mirror to what was going on. And I mean, and it seems like people can find they great stories last and go the test of time, and people find different meanings for different things. And I think definitely Star Wars, I don't think isn't mentioned a lot with all the rest of the other stories that are, but I mean, I think that's really what Lucas made, and he's confirmed that, he kind of mirrored it off what was going on at that time, and he started in the middle of the story, which was kind of odd as well.
And it was unheard of, too.
Yeah. I mean, even when I was a little kid, I was so confused. I was like, episode 4.
Yeah, why?
When I understand what a Roman numeral was, I'm like, wait, it says episode. What? I was like, what is that, Dad? Is that episode what?
I think.
Okay, where's 1, 2, and 3? And no one could answer me.
And that was
way before the internet, guys.
Oh yes,
it was. And the books we had didn't explain that aspect of it. It was just like, that's a story. Boom, we're off and running. Everything's dirty, and the bad guy's black colored. I mean, it's his costume, so we automatically knew he was a bad guy. And we have Luke, farm boy, dressed in white. We knew he was a good guy. And then we had the family dog.
Yeah, exactly. Had Chewie in there. And it's incredible just how that risk he took of starting in the middle, because there was no guarantee he was going to ever be able to tell the beginning of the story. Like, he started and he said, all right, that's 4, that's 5, and that's 6. And I think I noticed it with 5. With Empire was like when I really noticed. I was like, that's not right. That should be 2. Why is it 5? And I never understood. And then a couple of years later, I was like, my brain exploded.
Right.
Because it said, and it was so crazy how, like, just that marketing push they did, where they didn't call it the Phantom Menace. They called it episode 1.
Right.
And I was like, that's crazy. Because when we look at Empire Strikes Back, we never say episode 5. We always say the Empire Strikes Back. We always say Return of the Jedi. And we always say Star Wars. Or some of us, myself, say A New Hope. Whereas you say episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, because that's what he really wanted us to know it as episode 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And then I love, if you look, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and they were like, it's The Force Awakens. We're not going to put the episode title when we show the title. So if you notice,
they thought there was a lingering stigma on that.
Yeah, it just says Star Wars, and then it just says The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. And
so that marketing push was basically pitch perfect.
That marketing push was huge for the first one.
Yeah. Oh no, for episode 7.
Yeah. It was perfect how they
get away from the whole stigma of the episode naming convention,
and
even though we all knew it was episode 7.
Yeah. And which I thought was, I want to know whose idea it was to get away from that and just say, okay, we're gonna start calling them by their names. Force Awakens. To where, now I call it Force Awakens. Now I call it Last Jedi. I don't call it episode 8 or episode 7 sometimes, but most of the time I just say The Last Jedi.
Yeah. when someone says episode 7, I gotta kind of think a little bit. Okay, yeah, The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But so I was talking to a friend of mine today, Berto, about Rian Johnson's new movie he's going to be doing, and I said, it's kind of crazy to be able to tell non-Star Wars fans, hey, you could legit start with this movie, and you'll be on the same page as all your other friends because we'll have no idea what's happening. And so that's kind of an exciting thing to think about now with these new movies that are going to be coming out. Is we're going to be starting over with everything. And I started thinking, what if it's placed like 1,000 years in the future from Star Wars, and the legend of Luke, Rey, Yoda, like the rebellion and the Galactic Empire, like that's all like just these legends that people read. And then I don't know, I started thinking about that story, and I was like, that'd be really cool if they go that far. Was that what you always thought when you thought about Rian Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not 1,000 years in the future, 1,000 years in the past would work too for me. I mean, just because he would have no narrative debts until he got to the second episode of his trilogy, but just to start the story, just go. I mean, just have a different aesthetic, different type of threat. I mean, the potential is through the roof.
Yes.
And the marketing campaign is going to determine a lot as well.
Yeah, they could.
If they're super secretive about it, it's Disney, it's Lucasfilm. They're going to try and rebound from Solo. So it's like they're going to release a lot of info, and it's like you're not really going to be that surprised. I would love a total surprise. That would be the dream scenario for me.
I feel with the marketing push, they need to have
But then again, episode 9 is coming out beforehand. So if it goes the way you think, it's going to be one of the biggest films of all time.
Yes.
Yeah. So the goodwill might come back.
I think the goodwill.
And then the TV show, if that knocks it out of the park, we're back in business. And then Rian Johnson can do literally anything.
I think, yes, you're absolutely correct. And that's what I hope happens, which is episode 9, biggest film of all time, makes history. TV show, all the fans are like, this is it. We're back. Star Wars is back. And then Rian Johnson and Lucasfilm come out and they say, we're starting over, and it's going to be what you always wanted. That hype we had for episode 1, we're going to give it to you with this first episode that we're going to bring out. I think fans will be anxious, excited, and nervous when they start to see stuff, because I'm pretty sure it's going to look fantastic. I'm pretty sure it's going to look just insanely amazing, and people are going to be like, whoa, I'm getting that feeling again. I'm getting that episode 1 Force Awakens vibe again. Like, this is going to be awesome. He has to deliver, and I think Rian Johnson can do that. I think he can really deliver on his own story.
How do they drum up that anticipation again?
It's crazy. It's crazy to think how they can do it. I don't know how they can do it. I'm not there. I don't have.
I just thought of it right now.
But, okay, how can they drum it up? How can they do it?
They show sequences from the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, that we've never seen before, that are going to be in the film.
Okay.
And prequel lovers are going to be hyped up. Original trilogy people are going to be hyped up. And it's going to be the culmination of all 3 trilogies. And I think even if they brought back scenes with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're talking about Rian Johnson's, right?
I'm talking about episode 9.
Oh, 9. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I thought we were talking about Rian Johnson.
Yeah, we're going all over the place.
I was like, where are we going? No, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. That's the best.
Rian Johnson stuff can almost not even look anything like Star Wars, in my mind. He can do whatever he wants, as long as it's a great story, great characters. That's all kind of we want, I think, right? Yeah. It's something that we can add alongside, almost like how Marvel's doing it with their characters, and then off to the side, they have the cosmic universe with Guardians of the Galaxy. Almost kind of like that type of situation.
Okay, I feel you.
Because, there is a tangential connection to the Avengers, but they just brought them into Infinity War. But, if it's something off to the side, and it's interesting, it's different, I think that's the way they should go.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's the way he is going.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he thinks the way that most of the people think of the original Star Wars. He thinks a whole lot deeper, I think.
He looks... Yeah. He talks about Star Wars, and he looks at Star Wars in a way I've never seen before, a way I've never heard before. Right. In a way that if I would have thought about Star Wars enough, maybe I would get there. But Johnson thinks about it in a way I never.
Well, yeah, that was his job for a whole year to just kind of figure out how he's gonna do Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
And it was crazy that was what he came up with. That
Right.
was his. He looked at the timeline and he said, "Okay, this is what needs to happen." And the fans, no, that doesn't. But for him, he said that's what. And he has all this knowledge and all this stuff to back up each thing that he did in this movie. And so I'm like, okay, so give him his own thing. What's he gonna do? Rian Johnson's is gonna be insane. Like, it's gonna be crazy. But I think it's gonna be awesome. As for Abrams, how they can push it, can you imagine the opening of the teaser trailer is Anakin Skywalker meet Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then the trailer starts from there, like that teaser, and then we start seeing those clips, boom, 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 and then we finally get to Rey, and then we finally get to what's happening, and then, man, that trailer has to be just that teaser trailer for Episode 9 has to be the greatest teaser trailer ever. It has to be. At Celebration, when they show it, because they will be showing it at Celebration. At Celebration, when they show that thing, they need people crying and begging for more. And Abrams, I think, can do that. He's gonna have to. He has to do that.
Oh my gosh, I'll be like rolling on the floor.
Yeah, there's no way they're gonna be like, yeah, we can give them some. No, there has to be so much thought into this thing to get the fans pumped again and the fans back in the theater, just going crazy watching this thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how Rian Johnson and his process. He started writing Episode 8 as soon, I think, as he got the script for Episode 7. Mm-hmm. So he started writing out what he thought should happen next. Before all the people saw Episode 7, mm-hmm. he had his story pretty much about to be locked. So the question is Abrams... Did Abrams see what the fans really wanted? Is he taking that into account?
Well, okay, so yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. But then part of me also wants to hear what Abrams actually thought of 8. Like, that's what I'm dying to hear.
Well, the thing we always heard was Abrams felt remorseful because he didn't get to do 8. He said that's the one he would really want to do. But was that just kind of like hearsay? Or was that...
No, he even said he read the script. He's producing it. He goes, but I really wish I would have directed it. So yeah, one could argue, I really wish I could have directed it because this guy is going to mess it up completely. Or he said that's exactly what is needed for this story. And I'm dying to hear Abrams.
Right. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean, Abrams? Yeah. Were you like remorseful? Like you said, like, oh man, I really wish I could have done this because I would have done it so much. Or is he reading it going, yes, this was what was needed. This is perfect for the next episode. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the finale. And so now that he's back, he's like, okay, thank you so much. Again, on his tweet, he said, I have to thank Rian Johnson because thank you for what you did. Now this is going to be the most amazing movie that I can make because of what you wrote on 8. We don't know that. Yeah. We're all just kind of trying to, what's that word? Like, just decipher what he meant by that.
Right. And that makes me think of the Episode 8 red carpet when they asked George Lucas after he saw Episode 8 for the first time. They said, hey, George, what do you think about Episode 8, The Last Jedi? And he said, I thought it was interesting. It's like, what does that even mean?
Well, what does that mean?
Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I thought it was interesting. Like, I thought it was really interesting. Like, that was a weird choice.
See, and at first I thought that was like, he was like saying that was bad, that was negative. Yeah. And then after a while I thought, well, you could take that as positive. And then I flip-flopped and thought, no, that was, then I was like, maybe that was, it's like, what's the answer?
So yeah, the answer is, it could be anything. Because yeah, like you said, it could be, that was interesting.
Yeah.
That's it. Or, that was interesting. I never thought my story could go to where this story went, and I loved it. I wish he would have just explained it a little bit better instead of having us fans on a podcast wondering, what were you trying to say, Lucas? Like, what were you trying to get at, man? And Abrams again. But I think, my mind, me being who I am, I think I'm onto something with Abrams, though, with what he said was, I really wish I could have done 8. 8 came out. He has 9. He thanks Johnson in his first tweet. I have to thank Rian Johnson because he is allowing me to do this amazing. He's allowing me to carry on this amazing story. I don't know. Let's hope that's what happens.
Yeah, that's crazy. Star Wars fans trying to
decipher,
dissect, and figure out what does that mean.
All right, so now we're gonna speak about some of the fan mail we've received. We've got a lot of on Instagram. People have been writing us, and people have also been emailing us. Email us at StarWarsStuffPodcast@gmail.com. Also, we're on Instagram at Star Wars Stuff Podcast. Just look us up, send us some messages. Somebody named Mary actually wrote us, and she asked this question. And we were supposed to answer it last week, but we forgot to get to it. So we're really sorry, Mary. But the question is, okay, spoiler alert for Solo. When Han meets Chewie for the first time, they describe Chewie as a monster, and they describe as a beast, and they throw him in there to eat, and they said like he hasn't eaten in like a couple of days. And she was like, okay, does that mean Chewie was eating people during this whole thing?
Probably.
Okay, so, and she was like, I refuse to believe that that's what Chewie would do. But then part of me's thinking, man, the poor dude is hungry. He's in there. He's like, I gotta eat, man. I know this is kind of a dark time for me, but I gotta do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you think he was eating people?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, they were throwing down bad dudes anyways.
Yeah.
And maybe they were throwing down, I don't know, creatures as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so that's our answer is probably Mary. He was probably chowing down on some people. So we're really sorry to break that image of Chewie to you. But then he meets Han and he goes, "Oh, my life has changed. Like I'm gonna hang out with this guy from now on." So so sorry. Yeah. And then we also got a message on Instagram from Gardner who asked us for like types of books. Books. If you really want like good EU books, you're gonna have to talk to Joseph. Joseph unfortunately isn't here, but he'll be back next week, and we'll get his input on there, Gardner, for you. But for me, like I've been reading the new stuff. I know Aftermath is really good by Chuck Wendig, not Wending, but Wendig. That's a callback to one of our previous episodes. Chuck Wendig's Aftermath is amazing, and Claudia Gray's stuff, Bloodline, Princess of Alderaan, and Lost Stars. And she has a new one coming out this year called A Master and Apprentice about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. All her stuff is fantastic and just amazing things. But I'm pretty sure when Joseph comes back, he'll have way better answers than what I gave. And we also got a message on Instagram as well. Somebody was asking us if we were what days we were going to be at Star Wars Celebration this year, and the answer is every single day. We're going to be there the whole time. We're going to be the ones walking around taking pictures of everything, and we're going to have a meetup. We will have a meetup with all of the people who want to meet us. If you may, we'll ask. We'll do a podcast with y'all there, and we're hoping to. We did submit our application for the Celebration podcast stage. We will see if we get it.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy if we got it. But we found
out. Never mind. That would be appropriate. Totally appropriate. Yeah.
If we got it.
Yeah.
Or if we didn't get it.
Yeah. If Lucasfilm said, you guys can podcast.
That would be amazing. Lucasfilm, we love Star Wars. Listen to us. We're crazy about Star Wars. We would love to be there. We would love to do this and talk about Star Wars with everybody, because that's what. Hey, it's awesome. Yeah. This is the most amazing thing I've done in a very long time. It's just sit down and talk about Star Wars all day. So we will be there every day of Celebration. We'll be on the show floor. We'll be sleeping overnight there. With everyone wanting to get into these panels. We don't know what the panels are going to be yet. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking we're going to get a 20th anniversary panel.
Yeah.
We're going to get a episode 9 panel, and we're going to get a Favreau panel.
Yeah, I was going to call it that too, Favreau panel.
So we're going to get, but there's probably going to be 3 panels, and then plus there might be a 4th panel of Johnson introducing.
Ooh. So, I would love to see him back.
I would love to see him back.
Talk in depth. It's going to be interesting, man.
He has to be there. Favreau and Abrams are definitely going to be there.
Yeah.
Johnson hopefully is there. Benioff and Weiss, I think, are going to do like a whole video conference thing, because they're still trying to finish up Game of Thrones, I think.
Yeah.
And then they're going to give us a little tidbit. But so that's the answer to the questions. Yes, we will be at Celebration all 5 days. We're really looking forward to it. And the closer we get to it, the more we're going to be hyping it up and everything, because it's going to be amazing.
God, I would love it if Favreau came out and stayed out with us after
the
deadline, just like Rian Johnson did, and hung out with us till like 4 a.m. That would be awesome.
I'd be in heaven. I just feel like this. It's Favreau.
That would be so great.
But yes, it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. Pretty good. Pretty good. You have anything to add today?
Yeah. Also, when you do send us an email or message us, tell us what you're doing while you're listening to the podcast. Are you driving to work? Mm-hmm. Are you at work? Because a lot of people have been telling us, and I can think back years ago when I was like really grinding on like really minimum wage jobs and thinking about that time. And that at that time there was no podcast around. I couldn't listen to anything. I had to like rely on customers or my coworkers that talk to me about Star Wars or other stuff I was interested in. But now in this day and age, you can listen to podcasts and have your whatever niche interest you have and just listen to it while you work, going to work, or doing whatever you do. I mean, like cleaning the house. I mean,
yeah, one of my friends says whenever he does the dishes, he listens to our podcast.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. And I want to give a shout out to Ryan Bullock on Twitter. He always gives us a shout out.
Yeah, he's always giving us shout outs.
He's always like, hey, follow Friday. Listen to these amazing Star Wars podcasts. Yeah. And ours is up there. Ryan Bullock, thank you so much. Just thank you, man. Like I think Ryan Bullock was our first follower on Twitter.
Really?
Not even kidding. He was our first follower on Twitter. He was the first guy who like ever messaged us and said, "Hey, y'all are pretty cool," and he would like tweet our stuff out. And so Ryan Bullock, thank you so much. I'm actually scrolling through Twitter right now because somebody commented, and I can't find their comment, and I'm really really upset. Where is it at?
But yeah, I mean, you figure there's so many more people out there listening, and it just makes me happy thinking that people are listening to us talk about Star Wars, something we love, and they're doing they're living their everyday life wherever they are on the planet, and that's what I've done all my life since podcasts have been out. I wash the dishes, I'll listen to podcasts. I'll work, do my day-to-day job, listen to podcasts. I'll even go to sleep to podcasts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of a behind the scenes on how I get my information. I'm constantly listening, reading, and trying to kind of multitask. And even when I drive home, I have a long commute home, a long commute to work. If I'm not listening to music, I'll listen to a podcast, and that's the way I do it.
I listen to music. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't listen to our own podcast. I can see that we listen to our own podcast. But yeah, tell us where you're listening, and what you're doing when you're like, you know what I mean? Because that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and we somebody else, his name on Instagram at Mad Hatter 1138, awesome name. He says, started listening to y'all a few weeks ago and love it. And just giving you a shout out, man. Thank you for showing us the love there on Twitter, and that was pretty cool. Like I said, to get feedback from anybody, because it's like, whoa, people like us. Like people enjoy listening to us. And like, now we're gonna be on YouTube, and each week, like I said, I'll be putting up a new video on YouTube with a new theory, new news. If anything comes up, I will try to get a video up each week so y'all can see it. And the YouTube page, Star Wars Stuff Podcast on YouTube. Look us up. Also, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and each video I put up, I'm also going to put all the links to all of our platforms you can listen to us on. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. It's pretty awesome. I love doing this. I love doing it.
Yeah.
So,
and I echo all that stuff you said.
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah.
All right, so join us next Monday for an awesome new topic, and hope you have a great week. And may the Force be with you
always.